He thinks about you every night. He rewatches your stories. He reads the old messages, and still, he doesn't reach out. Why? Because craving you is safe. Contacting you requires courage, the kind of courage he never built. So while you think he forgot you, the truth is he remembers everything. But silence is easier than facing the woman you became after him. Let's talk about why his desire for you stays in the dark while your light keeps rising. She sat there, staring at the phone like it held all the answers. Her thumb hovered over his name, not to call, not to text, just to remember. To remember what it felt like when he used to reach out, when the silence between them wasn't so heavy. She kept telling herself, if he missed me, he'd call. It was a simple idea, painful but logical. But logic doesn't apply to the heart. And sometimes silence doesn't mean absence of feeling. Sometimes it means fear. Fear dressed up as distance. What she didn't realize then was this. Some men miss you more than you'll ever know and still won't reach out. Not because they don't crave you, not because they've moved on, but because they're afraid of facing what you've become without them. You see, men are taught to be the ones in control, to come back when they're ready, to assume you'll be there the same. But when he watches you grow in his absence, when he senses your glow isn't dependent on him anymore, it shakes him. He doesn't see the same girl. He sees a woman he might no longer deserve. There's a kind of heartbreak that happens not when you lose someone, but when you realize you broke something beautiful and can't get it back. That's the pain he lives with. That's the reason his hand freezes before texting. He replays the last words he said, wonders if he still holds space in your mind. But reaching out would mean finding out the truth. And the truth, it scares him. Because what if you don't respond? What if you respond but with distance? Or worse, what if you've already healed and he no longer gets to be part of your story? Men who crave you but stay silent aren't heartless. They're often spineless. It's not that they lack emotion. It's that they lack courage. Courage to face the version of you that's no longer waiting. Because that version of you is powerful. That version of you is a mirror to everything he didn't become. He'll scroll past your photos, linger too long, wonder what's changed in your eyes. He'll think of moments you laughed, how you used to light up when he walked in. And now he suspects you laugh for someone else, or for yourself, without needing him at all. There's a story he tells himself to cope with the craving, that you wouldn't want to hear from him, that it's too late, that he's sparing you by staying away. But the truth is, he doesn't want to face rejection. He doesn't want to risk the ego bruise of reaching out and finding nothing. So instead, he waits. He waits for a sign. He waits for you to break first. But what he doesn't realize is that you're no longer breaking, you're rebuilding. And you've come too far to reopen a chapter that nearly broke you. He tells his friends, yeah, I think about her sometimes. What he doesn't say is that he thinks about you every night. That you're the one he compares others to. That no matter how many distractions he chases, they all fall short. Because craving doesn't mean healing. Craving means he's stuck in a loop. And he hopes, somehow, you're still in the same loop too. But you're not. You're growing, stretching, becoming someone who no longer depends on his presence for peace. That's what he can't handle. Not your silence, but the strength inside it. The irony is, the more he craves you, the harder it is for him to make contact. Because every day you don't reach out confirms something in his mind, that you might not be coming back, that maybe he wasn't as unforgettable as he believed. And for a man who once had your full attention, that's unbearable. So instead of dealing with that reality, he chooses the safety of longing, the security of distance. He convinces himself it's better this way. But craving you in silence becomes its own prison, and he's locked in without even trying the key. One night he opens your chat window, just stares at it, maybe types a few words. Hey, how have you been? Deletes it. Tries again. Was thinking about you today? Deletes that too. He reads your last message from months ago, the one he never answered, the one where you gave him a chance to show up, and he didn't. He didn't. And now the guilt bubbles up like acid in his chest. He wishes he could take back time, but all he has now is space, and space only gets heavier when it's filled with the weight of regret. Meanwhile, you're not frozen in time like he imagined. You're blooming. You've stopped checking your phone, stopped wondering what you did wrong, because you realize it wasn't you. It was never you. It was his inability to meet you at your depth, his inability to rise. He craved you, yes, but craving isn't loving. Craving is need without responsibility. And you, in your evolution, require more than need. You require partnership, presence, respect. And those things take more than desire. They take growth. So while he drowns quietly in the what ifs, you've become fluent in peace. You've built a life that doesn't hinge on being chosen, a life that is whole. Even if someone from your past never finds the courage to return, you no longer fantasize about the message that never comes, because deep down, you know the silence was the message. And in it, you heard what you needed. You heard that you were ready to move forward. And while he may still crave you in shadows, you now dance fully in the light. He watches your story like it's a movie he's no longer a part of. The highlight reel of your life plays out in short clips, your smile, your laughter, the way you've started glowing differently. He taps through each post like flipping pages of a book he regrets putting down. But he won't like it. He won't comment. He won't message, because every tap is a silent struggle. His heart wants to reach out, but his ego holds him back. He's in a battle where the prize is clarity, but the cost is pride. He wants to know if you still care, but not enough to be the one who asks first. He tells himself stories to feel better, that maybe you've forgotten him, that you're over it, that you're happy now and wouldn't want to hear from him anyway. But the truth is his ego doesn't want to be vulnerable. He doesn't want to take the risk of being left on red, of reaching out, only to discover that you've detached. Because to him, silence is safer than rejection. So he stays quiet, hoping you'll break the silence first, hoping you'll validate that he still matters, but you don't. And that's what terrifies him. You used to be the one who reached out first, the one who sent that good morning text, who asked how his day was, who softened every silence between you. But not anymore. You've grown. You've pulled your energy back, and he feels the shift more than he admits. Now every quiet moment feels louder. Every hour that passes without your name lighting up his phone chips at the illusion that you'd always be there. And now he's stuck, craving a connection he no longer knows how to reignite, wanting to be wanted, but unwilling to be humble. He drafts messages he never sends. Hey, just checking in. Delete. Been thinking about you lately. Delete again. He types, reads, retypes, then lets the words die in silence. Because in his mind, reaching out means losing control. It means surrendering the upper hand. And even though he craves your warmth, your presence, your forgiveness, he wants you to want him first. So he waits. Not because he's over you, but because he's addicted to the illusion of control. The illusion that if he holds out long enough, you'll come chasing. But this time, you don't. It's a standoff of unspoken emotions. Both of you feeling the tension, the ache, the absence. But only one of you is doing the work of healing. Only one of you is choosing growth over games. And it's you. He still lives in the fantasy that you're stuck where he left you. that you're still wondering, still waiting, still hoping, because that's easier for him to believe than facing the truth, that you're finally moving on, that your silence isn't bait, it's a boundary, a choice, a declaration of self-respect that he never expected. The irony? His silence isn't strength, it's fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of being too late, fear of opening a door only to find it locked. So he keeps himself in this loop of longing, watching, waiting, wondering, never acting, because action would mean accountability. It would mean effort. And he's not ready for that, not ready to face the version of you that no longer needs him, the version of you that glows without his attention. That's the version that unsettles him the most, the one who finally realized her worth. You gave him the space to step up, to come forward, to meet you in truth and vulnerability. And he didn't take it, not because he didn't care, but because his ego screamed louder than his heart. Because to reach out would mean letting go of control. And that terrifies him more than missing you. So he plays it cool, pretends he's unbothered, scrolls past your life like it doesn't matter. But deep down, every post stings. Every smile that isn't his reminder of what he lost. And the worst part, he did it to himself. He talks to his friends like it's nothing. She's probably moved on, shrugs, changes the subject. But late at night, it's a different story. When the noise fades and his thoughts get loud, he replays every moment, the laughter, the conversations, the little things you used to do that made him feel seen. And he wonders if anyone will ever look at him like that again, if he'll ever get another chance with someone who loved him that purely. But instead of making it right, he stays silent because in his world, ego still writes the rules. Meanwhile, you're not frozen in time. You're evolving day by day, moment by moment. You're reclaiming parts of yourself you gave away too freely. You're realizing that silence isn't punishment, it's peace. That someone not choosing you isn't rejection, it's redirection. You've stopped waiting for a message that might never come. Because now the message is coming from within. It says, you're enough, you're worthy, you're not available for half love anymore. And that message is louder than his silence will ever be. He may never say it, may never admit it, but deep down he knows what he lost. He knows you were rare. She thought about texting him just once, just to see if he was okay. Her fingers lingered on the screen, typing his name, then deleting it like a ritual she knew all too well. Something in her wanted closure, while something stronger whispered, no, you've come too far. What she didn't know was that at that same moment, he was staring at his own screen, her name glowing silently on it. He hadn't saved her number, but he never deleted the thread. He scrolled back through it like an old photo album. Every message a memory, every emoji a heartbeat. He wanted to say something. He wanted to say everything. But instead, he sighed, locked his phone, and said nothing at all. He hadn't moved on. Not really. He had gone on dates, sure, smiled at strangers, tried new hobbies, even laughed here and there. But every connection felt like a faded version of the one he had with her. She had left an imprint on his soul, and no one else could quite match the depth of it. But instead of reaching out, he wore the mask of someone who didn't care. Because caring out loud meant risking everything, risking rejection, risking judgment, and more than anything, risking the reality that she might not be there anymore. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That scared him more than the silence itself. He thought ignoring the pull would make it disappear, that with enough distractions, her voice in his head would fade. But the thing about real connections is they don't fade. They echo. They show up when you least expect them, in a song, in a smell, in the way someone says a phrase she used to say. And every time it brings him right back. Back to the way she used to look at him like he was her whole world. Back to the warmth of her presence, the way she listened, the way she made him want to be better. And every time he remembers, he wonders why he let it slip away. The truth is, he didn't mean to disappear. It wasn't planned, it wasn't dramatic, it just happened. One unreturned text turned into two, one silent day turned into a week, and by the time he realized how much time had passed, the shame had already taken root. He told himself she was probably better off, that she wouldn't want him back, that maybe silence was the kindest thing he could give her. But deep down he knew it was fear. Fear of confronting the pain he caused. Fear of admitting that he wasn't ready for someone like her. So he stayed gone, even while craving her like air. Every now and then, a friend would ask, "You ever talk to her anymore?" And he'd shake his head, offer a casual, "Nah, chapter's closed." But inside, the pages were still open, the story unfinished. He hadn't said the words he wanted to say, hadn't given her the goodbye or the explanation she deserved. And maybe he never would, because explaining it would mean looking at himself, seeing the version of him that messed up something beautiful. And that version, it wasn't someone he liked. So he avoided it, avoided her, even as he missed her more with every passing day. She, on the other hand, had rewritten her narrative. Slowly, piece by piece, she gathered what she gave away and placed it gently back into her own heart. The waiting, the wondering, the hoping. It all transformed into wisdom, into strength, into standards. She still thought of him, yes, but not with pain anymore. Now she thought of him with clarity, with a kind of bittersweet understanding. She knew he cared, knew he craved her still, but she also knew it didn't matter unless he was brave enough to show it. And since he wasn't, she kept walking forward, barefoot but brave. He saw her picture once, months after they stopped talking. She was radiant, not because of makeup or lighting, but because of peace. It showed in her eyes, in her smile, in the way she held herself like a woman who had survived the storm and chose not to live in the wreckage. And for a moment he wished he had been better, wished he had stayed, wished he had chosen presence over pride. But he didn't. And now he was a ghost in her story, a silent chapter, a lesson, maybe, and that stung. Because she was the one person he didn't want to be a lesson for. People often think craving someone means you'll act on it, but sometimes it paralyzes you. He wanted her more than he admitted to anyone, but he had already convinced himself she wouldn't want him back. So he stayed stuck in the limbo of longing, wanting to reach out but stopping every time his finger hovered over the send button. He feared the 3 dots showing up and then disappearing. Like he feared a message read and never replied to. But most of all, he feared seeing that she had healed, that she didn't need him to close the loop, that he was now irrelevant to her journey. She wasn't angry anymore. She had processed it all, the silence, the confusion, the loss. And in that stillness, she found her voice again, a voice that said, "I am not meant to chase. I am not meant to wait for someone else's growth." She deserved more than half love and closed hearts. She deserved someone who would choose her, not just crave her, who would show up, not just think about it. And when she finally let go of the last thread connecting her to him, she did it with grace, not because she stopped caring, but because she finally started caring about herself more. He'll always remember her. Not just her laugh or her touch or the way she said his name, but the way she made him feel safe, the way she made him believe in something real. And even if he never finds the words, he'll carry her in the quietest parts of his memory. But memory is not love. Reflection is not redemption. And craving is not commitment. He had his chance and he let fear win. So now he lives in the silence he created, haunted by the sound of her moving on. He thinks about her the most when he's alone, when the noise fades and the world stops demanding so much from him. In the quiet moments, between meetings, at red lights, lying in bed with the ceiling fan humming above, she drifts into his thoughts like a ghost he invited but can't send away. It's not just that he misses her, it's deeper than that. He misses who he was when he remembers feeling seen, known, grounded. With her, there was no performance, just presence. But now that she's gone, that version of himself feels out of reach. He could reach out, and he knows it. The phone is right there. Her name's still saved in his contacts like a bookmark he never stops needing. It would take seconds to type, "Hey, can we talk?" But something always stops him. A heavy pause, a breath that never becomes a word. Not because he doesn't care, he does, maybe more than he ever let on, but because reaching out means facing her strength. And she's not the same woman who once waited. She's not the girl he left in limbo. She's the woman who learned to stand without him. There's a certain guilt that lives in him now, not the kind that shouts, but the kind that whispers. It shows up in conversations he can't focus on, in songs that catch him off guard, in dreams that feel too real. Because he knows he didn't just lose her, he lost the opportunity to be a better man with her. He lost the chance to grow alongside someone who saw his potential even when he couldn't. And it's not that he didn't feel it back then, he did. But fear made him flinch, so he distanced himself instead of showing up. And now that distance feels permanent. She, on the other hand, has learnt the art of not looking back. It didn't happen all at once, it came in waves. One day she stopped rereading their messages. Another, she didn't check to see if he'd viewed her story. Slowly, the ache became acceptance. The silence stopped feeling like punishment and started feeling like peace. She didn't erase the memories, she just stopped letting them define her worth. Because at some points, she realized love shouldn't have to be earned, it should be given freely, willingly, without games. And if someone couldn't do that, they didn't deserve her softness. He sees glimpses of her in the people around him. The way someone laughs, the way another tilts her head when thinking, the scent of a stranger's perfume. But none of them are her. They don't have her fire, her quiet wisdom, her way of making everything feel like home. And in those moments, he feels a longing that words can't explain. It's not just about missing her. It's about missing who he could have become if he had stayed, if he had been brave, but he wasn't. And now all he can do is replay the past, trying to find a moment where he could have chosen differently. He tells himself he'll reach out someday when the timing's better, when he has more to offer, when he figures out the perfect thing to say. But someday keeps getting pushed further away because what he's really waiting for is the guarantee that she'll still be there, that she hasn't closed the door for good. But life doesn't wait, and neither does she. She's building a future without him in it, and he can feel it. Every picture she posts, every trip she takes, every new smile that no longer includes his name. She's not bitter. She's blooming. There's a moment he replays often. The last time they spoke. He remembers the look in her eyes. Not angry, not cold, just tired. Like she had given her all and finally realized it would never be enough for someone who wasn't ready. And he hated that look because it wasn't just about him. It was about everything she had to carry, the waiting, the confusion, the unanswered questions. And he knows now she wasn't asking for perfection. She was just asking for effort, for honesty, for him to meet her halfway. But he stayed stuck in his silence while she walked forward alone. Now she's somewhere else, mentally and emotionally. Not because she stopped loving him, but because she started loving herself more. She no longer romanticizes the past. She doesn't fantasize about what could have been. She honors what was, but she's grounded in what is. And what is peace. A kind of peace he never gave her, the kind she had to give herself. And while he still wonders if there's a way back, she's no longer leaving breadcrumbs. She's not waiting by the door. She's living. Fully, freely, unapologetically. And that's what stings the most. Because now, if he came back, he wouldn't be returning to the same woman. He'd be meeting someone new, someone wiser, someone who might still care, but who no longer settles. And he knows deep down he may not be enough for that version of her. Not because he's broken, but because he didn't grow when she did. He stayed stagnant, comfortable, hoping things would work out without doing the work. And now the gap between who he is and who she became feels too wide. So he scrolls through her life from the sidelines, wondering what could have been. Every man who comes after him will feel her differently. They'll feel her wholeness, her healed heart, her boundaries forged from lessons he taught her. And maybe one of them will hold her the way he never could, with presence, with patience, with both hands open. And that man, he'll be lucky, not because she's perfect, but because she's real. And real women are rare. And when he sees that, When he sees someone else love her right, it'll hit him. That silence didn't protect him, it cost him everything.